in.
We're in.
We're in.
Back
We're
in
in.
the room.
Jesus,
Back in the room.
you know what? Once again, I'm surprised about the
Are you?
start. Even though I hit the button that says record.
Right, which is usual. We've done it 130 times.
Yeah, and I've once again caught myself out. Again.
Okay. With your own efficiency?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, anyway, all right. Let me just get my little script ready. Here we go. Okay, all right.
Okay. Where are we going, Martin?
Wait, what? No, I have to do the whole front end bit first.
I know where we're going. So then,
I see.
Yeah. I was improvising.
I thought that you jumped down in the script, just like, where are we going? Oh, we're going to the coffee shop today. I thought you were doing that bit.
I know. It was shameful improvisation. Shameless.
All right, here we go. Let's herd these podcast cats.
Yes.
And so
where are we going, Martin?
Well, let's go to a place where the distractions are landmarks and the detours on the main road. Welcome to ADHD.
Sounds like a great idea. Yeah, let's go there. Episode about retirement and getting older and walking sticks and semi-retirement maybe as well. Hello, I'm Paul Thompson and I was diagnosed with the combined ADHD, ADH and the D again, dragging, kicking and screaming towards almost 3 years ago.
And I'm Martin West, and I was officially diagnosed with the combined ADHD poo-poo platter in 2013 and self-diagnosed autistic. And here we are, the co-mayors of ADHDville.
Hello.
Hanging out in the King's Agitated Head pub in ADHDville, where we take care of business.
Yes. So what is business today, Martin?
Well, now we're actually going to be talking about what happens after the whole business thing, right? We're going to be talking about that thing called retirement.
Yeah.
In a very loose way. Because
it sounds weird, doesn't it? It sounds like it sounds like you may as well say I'm going to that place where people go to die.
Well, yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like that.
You know what? It's at some point in my life, I realized when I thought about getting old or being old or whatever, it was like I would look at my grandparents, right, for example, and I would kind of go, oh, that's what it is.
Yes.
But actually, as I realized, it's just me, the same person, just getting older, but still doing the same shit and doing the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's a modern phenomenon, isn't it? It's already happening before, like one generation before us. It's already been called like the silver generation, where it's for the first time people in their 70s and even 80s are kind of like doing stuff unashamedly, like doing stuff, maybe even doing more stuff than they ever did before.
Right. I mean, obviously, my mind goes to the couple of years ago. There was lots of news stories about sexually transmitted diseases being rife in old people's homes.
No way.
Yes way. It was apparently it's all going on in there. Yeah.
Well, my son he's been working in the last 4 months in a German old people's home. So I'll have to ask him.
Absolutely. Get some inside tea.
Yeah,
get some gossip. All right. Well, let's jump in our very old but still reliable tractor. And,
not yet retired tractor.
Absolutely. Where are we going?
I thought we'd go to the park bench. It's like a good place, Martin, to kind of to kind of reflect.
Right. It's where all the old people go.
Right, with their sandwiches and their thermos flasks.
Right. Exactly. Let's head out there. Going to the park. Going to the park. A nice
But
day. Nice day for a stroll round the park, isn't it?
well, do you know what our grandparents? Do you know what they used to do? I mean, this may be a bit of a shocker to people that are not from the UK, but our grandparents, what did they do with their free time when they were retired? They would drive in their Ford Anglia down
Mm-hmm.
to the coast, get the sound park on the what do you call it? Park looking out to the sea.
Yeah,
Probably haven't even exchanged a single word of conversation.
probably.
Break open the Tupperware,
Yep.
get out the sandwiches, the thermos bar, sit there and eating them, still not exchanging a word, finishing said sandwich and said thermos flask and drive back home again. That was it. That was their trip to
Right.
the seaside.
Yeah. I mean,
Very limited sense of what they could do with their retirement.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think let me think. My very autistic granddad who had cheese sandwiches every day for his entire working life. I suspect he also carried on having cheese sandwiches for every day of his entire retired life as well.
Right.
But
Cheese with the pickle or just cheese?
no, it was just straight up. I believe it was just cheese. I mean,
Cheese sandwich.
if you were adding a
My
pickle,
God.
that's like continental. That's like very European. That's very
Right.
racy, very spicy. I
That's
don't want any
very
of that.
crazy.
I don't want any
Well,
of that in my sandwich.
what's really funny though is that that's so British as well. A cheese sandwich. No
Mm-hmm.
one in Italy would have a
Cheese
cheese
sandwich.
sandwich. That's like saying, "Oh, I'm going to have a, I don't know, like in Italy, you'd never say, "Oh, let's have a glass of wine." You'd be specific. You'd say, "Oh, I'll have a piece of." You wouldn't say cheese. You'd say, "I'll have." What about a piece of gorgonzola? Or what about something other? You would a cheese sandwich. I mean,
Yeah.
how
Well,
plain can you get?
look. I mean, Paul.
Cheese.
Back
It's like
then,
saying
there
a meat. It's like saying, "I'm going to have a
a meat
meat
sandwich.
sandwich."
Well, look, mate. You have to think. Back then, there was only one cheese. It was
Cheddar.
cheddar, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other cheese was like, ooh, fancy, fancy. No.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't even like Red Leicester was like probably after cheddar there was maybe you had the option of Red Leicester in the
Right.
late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It was just cheddar.
Right. And if you talk about a meat sandwich, it was ham, sliced ham. That was it. That
Right.
that was the only thing.
Or no, wait, it could be, well, in our family, you would have what's it called? Oh bloody hell. It came in a can.
Spam,
No.
corned beef.
Corned beef. Corned beef sandwich.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. You know what? In Cuba, Mr. Thompson,
Yeah.
when we were there, I distinctly remember there was like a little street vendor,
Uh-huh.
and I was a bit hungry, so I went over to kind of see what he had. He
Hmm.
had ham and cheese roll,
Right.
cheese roll,
Right.
ham roll, and roll.
No.
He had all the
Okay.
all the possible combinations of a ham and cheese roll.
Oh my God. Yeah. Needs were simpler. Even my dad, he used to have everything. If we went camping, everything was in a can. He would
Mm-hmm.
have English breakfast in a can, or he would have, and he sent me. a text message only about 2 months ago said he had a can of chunky chicken and rice.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Chunky chicken and rice from Marks and Spencer's, and he said it was wonderful.
Dear Paul. Actually,
Chunky
no. He's
chicken. Or
today.
you could get spaghetti bolognese. My neighbour would eat at least 2 or 3 times a week Heinz spaghetti bolognese in a tin,
Yeah,
2 or 3 times a week.
yeah. Easy food, easy food. All right, let's get
Anyway,
back to the
back
subject
to
of
this exactly.
retirement. I was just going to say that my granddad went from being like a crane operator
Right.
to he retired and became
To
a
a retired crane operator.
to a school janitor.
Oh,
That was his
okay.
that was his thing. Um, yeah.
Like
Well,
Hong Kong Fooey.
yes, exactly like Hong Kong Philly. You know what? I did have on my desk. I had the my this was a thing that used to happen was that when you retired in the olden days, you used to get a gift. Sometimes it was a carriage clock, and
Yes.
it was often a clock.
Or yeah, or you get a carriage clock. Yeah,
Yeah, no,
carriage
exactly.
clock.
And I did have my my granddad's. He had like a watch pocket, and it's just over here somewhere, but I can't find it, so
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna do that. But
So, yeah, go
yeah, and then I was so yeah, so I think it just to kind of bring it. I was having a conversation with with my with my gym trainer, my
on.
personal
Right.
trainer called David. Um, and we were talking about this, that, and the other. Um, and for some reason, we got onto the subject of like he says, "Oh, I have a lot of retired people here," and he's like, he was
Mhm.
asking me if I'm retired. I'm like, no, I'm kind of semi-retired. I'm I'm still trying to do work, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would happily work full time, but you know, I'm kind of like just scratching around at the moment. Um, and he was saying, yeah, I have lots of like retired people, and and they don't know what to do with their time.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, yeah,
Well,
you
this is
have that,
right.
but the main thing is, as far as I was concerned, is that is that the big thing is that if you've worked all your entire career, say as a creative director as me,
Yeah.
or an accountant or whatever, when you retire, you no longer do that thing, and you
Yeah.
don't know who you are anymore.
Right.
I know that this is
Exactly.
not necessarily, I know because you have more of a sort of a, uh, you know, you've
Well,
been less of like an office career job for like decades, and
yes.
you've been more
But
floating around.
it's a good point. I've always found it interesting how, only going back one generation, like my father, and then for sure my grandfather, all they had to do for all of their lives was be good at their job.
Hmm.
That was it. That was the beginning and the end of their definition of, what it meant to be, a human being on this planet. Now, with our generation onwards, you have to be. It's not good enough anymore just to be good at your job. You know, you
Hmm.
got to be, like a good brother, a good uncle, a good son, a good father, a good lover, a good friend. And there's
Mm.
like a lot of men that get to their. I think this is where men, especially, get to a point when they have a midlife crisis. It's like, oh, I've only been a good architect or whatever until this point, and now I'm thinking it's not enough. But I've never really taken care of any other part of me, you know.
Right.
And it's like, oh, he's like, oh, is that it? I thought it was just enough to be a good architect or whatever all my life, and now I'm thinking I feel strangely empty.
Oh wow! You know what? It's funny because I saw a documentary a while ago about an architect, and it was at the end of his career, and
Hmm.
the interviewer said something like, like, well, you've spent so much time, designing amazing buildings. Do you kind of feel like you neglected every,
Right, there you go.
everything else? And and he was like, yeah, and I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah, because in that, what it was of a certain age, I suppose.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, no,
Yeah,
I chose to design buildings,
yeah.
and I'm happy that I spent my life doing it at
Well,
the
I think it's
expense
a
of everything
bit.
else.
I mean, apart from it being a generational thing, it's a cop out. It's a cop out. Women are much better at it. Women are much better at taking care of being the sister, the mother, the lover, the mother. You
Ooh,
know, you
yeah,
know, they're much better at taking care, especially friends. Even in the ADHD autism community, much better than we are.
right,
So, yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it?
yeah.
And
So yeah, I mean, I struggled through that. So when I stopped being a creative director, so that was like
mm,
when lockdown happened in COVID, and then
right.
I lost my job, and then for about then after that I was never employed full time, and then I went through a whole thing of like, I don't know who I am now. Who
Right,
am I?
exactly.
Who am I? I
Exactly.
had to kind of like do a lot of that work.
Yeah. Look, I think men, I mean, we concentrate a lot on men, but I think men as a definition, of a gender definition at the moment are having a crisis, Martin.
Right.
They don't know really, from one generation to another in very little time a lot more is expected of men than it was in the past. You know,
Yep.
expectations were pretty low in terms of men just being good at their job. It's like finish their job, rock up at home, and dinner was on the table,
I
right? Then
know.
they'd smoke their pipe and go to bed. You
I
know,
know. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that the other thing that strikes me about ADHD, especially, and time blindness and
mm,
retirement, is we are not good generally about planning for a retirement that could be
mm,
decades away, right?
right,
And you're not necessarily like thinking, okay, well, I have to set up some systems. I have to set up a retirement account. I have to like, and because it's like so far away that it doesn't exist.
right.
Like the
Object permanence, isn't it? It's the opposite of object permanence.
right. This whole that it's a time blindness. It doesn't exist,
Yeah.
and you
If
don't
it's not
plan for
now,
it.
it doesn't exist.
Right. And if you live in a country where you don't have a good or an adequate, like state healthcare system, America
Yeah.
doesn't. Um,
Hmm.
it means that I'm pretty sure that ADHD people will find themselves like in a bit of a hole, when they
Oh,
kind of
massively, yeah.
come into their
But
60s and like, oh shit.
also support. Like, I'll give you an example. The Italian government give a lot of support to, for example, in order of focus. Okay, if you're a young female in Italy, there are loads of you get loads of support. If you want to start up a new business and you're a young woman, you're pretty
Right.
much the kind of like first up. In terms of getting some kind of help from the
Nice.
government.
I like that.
With if you want to get extra training and blah blah. Great, excellent. if you're a young male, you kind of that's the next thing up. Okay,
Hmm.
and so on and so forth. By the time you get to being a male and you're 59, like me, you get nothing. You've
Nothing.
got nothing. It's like you're like there's like you're in a kind of in a kind of a little tunnel. It's like holy shit,
No,
and you're feeling like I don't know. There's nothing here. I could see, for example, Martin, in the UK, there's
I
more
don't know.
support
Maybe.
here for people of our age who are looking to get retrained in something, getting some help. Maybe you can get some. What's the word? You get
Training?
the
Retrained? What?
retraining and all kinds of things. Grants, maybe for starting a new business.
Oh, okay.
There are all kinds of some kind of helping hand. There's nothing in Italy, nothing
Right.
at all.
Yep.
In
Yep.
America, what's it like in the kind of if you are because we're supposed to work until we're in our 70s, right?
Right.
We're supposed to, if you're unlucky, you've not had, you maybe economically you can't afford to retire until you're 70 or 72, whatever.
Right.
What's it
Right.
like
Right.
in the States?
It's not great. Not great. Again,
Okay.
like a capitalist society will always, like focus its effort on, like building, like on the younger people and men especially, and starting businesses as you say. But
Mhm.
but when you fall out of the kind of like making money period of your life and you go into like
Mhm.
a taking money,
Mhm.
then they are less interested in you. um I mean, when I say taking money, it's money that I have already put into the system
Exactly.
through my taxes and payroll and all of that stuff, that
Yeah.
I'm just taking that out. So
Yeah. No.
it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 Yeah, we were talking, Martin, last week or 2 weeks ago about, maybe getting a job. We talked about getting a job in a supermarket. It's the first thing that came to mind.
Yes.
And in fact, Alexandra, um, has she's started working in a supermarket, and I'm coming around to the idea of getting some kind of job, even if it's just to get me out there. Get me
Right.
out of the house, getting, because it's not healthy to stay, it's kind of like staying too long in front of a computer at home,
Right.
you know.
I mean, yeah, because I've did I say this last week? But I've signed up to do a DoorDash service, which is
Oh,
like
you mentioned it, yeah.
right. So I will probably be picking that back up after my current job. And I was talking to you a little bit just before I hit the big red record button.
Yeah.
But yeah, I picked up a job last week for a big
Hmm.
phone manufacturer to do work at the Olympic Games in LA.
Hmm.
And it's a big client, big event, big agencies, and all of that stuff, right?
Hmm.
Which was my bread and butter. That was
Yeah.
my little sweet spot. That's what I used to do,
Yeah.
and I haven't done that for a while. And
Mm.
and and I and I'm really struggling to get
Really?
my brain is now
Yeah.
refusing to work in
Yeah.
that way anymore.
Mm.
Like, I'm happy to do smaller stuff,
Hmm.
just kind of like, projects that I get, right, that are just
Yeah.
mine, and I do the project and then I send it off. That's fine.
Hmm.
It's the big agencies, lots of moving parts, many people, 100-page decks with everyone kind of like throwing things in.
Oh, blimey.
It's all a mad panic. No, like there's no real structure. I'm an external person, a freelance
Right.
person trying to kind of contribute to this chaos. so it isn't mine. It's not my. It isn't my circus. I don't own it. I'm just like trying to
Yeah,
fucking juggle balls over here in the corner.
right.
And my
Good analogy. Good
and my
analogy.
thank you. And my brain is going, nope, not
You're
interested.
like standing in the corner like Coco the clown, and
I am.
you're like relevant in the 70s,
Oh, right. And
with your
now,
little performances.
yeah, and now it's just fucking useless.
It's different sector now, though. I think if for me, it's easier for me to think of it as like what the industry that I worked in isn't the same one anymore. It doesn't exist anymore.
Right,
Well, it's barely hanging on to the kind of agency environment that I used to know.
right,
But to me, it's much more process orientated now.
right. I mean, yeah, I, I think that the lesson I'm learning is once you come out of, if you've had a kind of a job or career and you burnt out,
Mm,
right, and then you healed,
yeah.
you can't go back
No.
to the thing that burnt you out.
Yeah.
My I I mean, I was in a right state this morning. I was like, I'm just going to quit.
Mm,
I'm just going to quit this thing because I can't do that work anymore. I mean, I can do the work individually, as I said. Like
yeah.
if someone said, "Oh, I need a brochure, or I need a branding thing done," yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But those big, huge global
Yeah.
jobs, oof,
I know what you mean. I applied a couple of times for jobs, like as being creative director of a big agency, in the last few months. And I applied for the job but really I don't want it. If I'm honest, I don't want that job at all. If they suddenly came up to, if they called me, it's like, holy crap, Paul, we've just got your CV. Holy crap, you're just perfect for us. Can you start tomorrow? I'd be like, oh shit. It's
yes.
like, actually, I don't know if I want the job. I'm really sorry.
Okay, well, let's pay you another 20,000 more. Are
Yeah,
you interested
exactly.
then? No, as you're
No.
crying.
Yeah. Your eyes are bleeding.
I
No,
know.
yeah, totally.
I know. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
I,
not the same business anymore. I found um I I don't know, it's hard to describe really. Yeah, but the only way I've found to define the problem I have is just like, Paul, just give it up. It's not the same business anymore.
hmm
The dynamics have changed. It's more process orientated. Um, Less fucks are given about the actual quality of the work. In the 90s, when there was a sweet spot with agency work, going up to the into late 90s, when there was a sweet spot, it was all about the quality of the ideas.
Yep. It
The
was.
process was a fairly small element of it. Now it's 90% process, and if there's a good idea, that's just a bonus.
Mm-hmm. I know. I'm literally pulling up AI, going copy and paste the brief into AI. Right,
Yeah,
AI, you are the creative director.
yeah,
Answer this brief. You okay, cool. Well, I like this bit. I like this bit. I like this bit. Right, let's put that into a deck.
yeah.
It's fucking shit. Um,
Yeah, but the problem is, well, on the AI bit, they say that graphics is, well, the advertising world and communication is one of the professions most at risk from AI. Personally, I think it's exactly because of this problem is that it's become so process orientated that if someone comes up with an algorithm, with an AI solution for doing that job now, then we've only got ourselves to blame because we became a slave to a kind of a process.
yeah,
But
yeah.
if you've sold your soul to the process, then if you get replaced by it, then we've only got ourselves to blame. I think That's my
Yeah, yeah.
thinking.
No, no. I mean, well, I wouldn't say it's we've only got ourselves to blame, but for sure. I mean, it's uh, well, because what happens is, for example, I'm required to do a month's work in a week on my own, without a copywriter, without an art
Oh
director,
wow.
without a graphic
Yeah.
designer, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm now
Yeah.
time starved beyond time starved, and I'm now going, well, the only way through this is is
Right.
is I have to have AI there to kind of just
Yeah.
just get me through some of that conceptual
Yeah.
thinking.
I had
Otherwise,
something recently as well from a big pharma company, pharma brand based in Brussels, and I was given 3 days to come up with something that would normally I'd be given a week to do,
hmm
and completely not 100% working by myself because the campaign was in Dutch and French, so they were doing most of the copywriting, but still, the rest of it was up to me.
hmm yes,
And
yes,
it was a bit of rabbit in the headlights, yeah. So anyway, so that's the kind of the practical part of kind of what we were talking about. But there's also the philosophical part that
okay,
I wanted to touch on as well. In terms of, okay, so you've let's say you're like us and you're late diagnosed, or in our case, very late diagnosed
yeah.
ADHD and self-diagnosed autistic, right? What do you do with those busy minds? That suddenly you don't have a job and you've got way too much free time for those busy minds. What do you do with it?
You start a podcast, mate.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Are you saying you want to do a daily podcast? Is that what you're saying?
Oh God,
Is that what
no.
you're saying? Is that what you're seeing,
So we're
Martin?
saying, man.
Is that where you're
Uh,
going with this?
I
But
know
so
what
what have you got something in your mind, Martin, in your mind
in your mind.
for what you're going to do?
Well, I mean, it is basically what I do. So,
Are
I
you
mean,
doing it already?
I don't have a particular issue about what am I going to do, because it's just all the same shit that I already do. So, I just do creative stuff. I write music. I go out in the garden and plant
Yeah.
plants and talk to my friends online, and yeah, do the housework. It's all
Yeah.
it's all the same stuff.
Right.
So
But I mean, I remember thinking years ago, thinking, oh, I'm going to travel the world when I retire. I'm less like that now.
right,
I'm
that's
less inclined to kind of like, I do want to go to India at some point, you
okay.
know,
Yeah, that's a thing.
that's a thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
maybe I've got another trip to Cuba in my, that I'd like to do.
Right.
um, or Africa, or all three. But
Apart from those continents
apart from that,
and that country.
because there's a thing here. I did a bit of research on this. They're calling it the 2026 perspective.
Okay.
People that are in their later years, maybe retirement or semi-retirement, living within limits on purpose. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, they're calling it orientation over optimization. So it's basically what they're talking about. So when you get to retirement age or semi-retirement, we're spreading ourselves out less thinly, and maybe pointing and focusing on something. For you, for example, it could be, okay, I'm going to write some short stories,
Yeah.
or I'm going to write some music. And all of a sudden, you have the luxury of being able to be really focused on something that you never had the luxury of doing in the past.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got some examples here of that. Okay,
All right.
what kind of a more something I found yesterday. There's an artist in New York called Joan Semmel. She's got um, a studio in Soho in New York. She's 93, and she's saying she's doing the best work of her life at the moment. She
Right.
does like self portraits, celebrating almost like celebratory approach to her aging, you
Right.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But so basically, nude paintings of herself, her new self, which is
Okay.
amazing. I thought that's really, really cool. But also, historically, Giuseppe Verdi, okay, composer, he composed some of his best work when he composed Otello when he was 74,
All
and
right.
when he was 80, he composed Falstaff, which is like one of his most
Yeah.
famous pieces of work.
Right.
Or there's another one here, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Roget, who
Okay.
wrote Roget's Thesaurus, when
Oh
he
yeah.
was 73. He
Jesus.
decided what the world needs is a thesaurus. And he wrote the first thesaurus when he was 73.
Blimey. Wow.
Or,
Oh,
oh,
there's
there's a
more.
guy here, a famous Japanese trekker. He reached the summit of Mount Everest at the age of 80, and he still leads expeditions up Everest in his 90s, Martin.
Bastard.
I mean, that's phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. I do tend to look down on people who climb
Yes,
Everest.
I
However,
know what you mean.
they're
I
selfish
think we probably
bastards.
I share your opinion.
Yeah.
I share your opinion. Yeah,
But sure,
they
he's
yeah,
getting out there and doing things.
it's right.
Oh,
So,
blimey.
I mean, it sounds like you've got projects on the go, Martin. You've got various irons in the fire.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're not going to
No,
be slacking in your retirement.
no. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm just, as I said, I'm just trying to like. I need to kind of still need to find work, really. So
Hmm.
it's just kind of like, okay, let's see what can suit me, because as I've just discovered this week, I can't go back to doing what I used to do. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, right then, that's off the table. I can't work full
Hmm.
time in an office at an ad agency or a company like
Hmm.
that. My brain doesn't work that way
Right.
anymore. So right, oh shit,
For
okay,
me,
what am I going to
for
do?
me, Martin, even working on the computer with a certain intensely for a whole day, I found that my eyes bleed.
Right,
Do you know what I mean? I get
yeah,
my eyes get really tired,
mm-hmm,
and if I've got like okay, I've got a deadline and I had to work a solid day in front of the computer, I come out the other end at the end of the day. I was like, holy crap! You're
yeah,
really feeling it.
mm-hmm, yeah, yeah.
It's
So
intense.
yeah. So that's my retirement. Will just be like, I don't know where. I think it's like a Gen X thing, maybe,
Yeah.
but
Oh, totally.
but that kind of like I idea of of not like working and then stopping and then just
Hmm.
playing golf. That isn't how I think about the world. I just kind of like just do work because I like working, and I like bringing in some money, and I like
Yeah.
doing projects, and I'll just carry on
Hmm.
doing that until I
Yeah. Yeah.
can't can't afford a computer or software, or my eyes bleed too much, or my hand becomes too arthritic to move a mouse around, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
fine, all right,
But I really like this artist. Her example, Joan Semmel in New York. She's 93, and she's saying she's as far as she's concerned, she's doing the best work of her life,
yeah,
and I love that. I
there is
love
hope.
that idea. Yeah.
There is hope. All right,
Especially from an ADHD point of view, you're probably at a point, I hope, that if you've been diagnosed late in life, in my case when I was 50, 56, by the time you get to retirement age, you're like pretty much 100% unmasked, and that's a
maybe,
whole lot of energy that you're not using up
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
masking,
right.
which is great, right?
Well, yeah, because the problem is that we don't have as much energy to counter the ADHD stuff,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
we have less and less energy. We get burnt out more and more easily, and we're
Yeah.
forced to
That's
kind of
true.
drop masks because we, as you say, we don't have the energy for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I kind of see it as more of a sort of less, it's going to be a freeing thing, and more like, yeah, we just have to offload all this energy sucking shit that we do.
Yes.
We have to,
Exactly.
otherwise,
Right.
otherwise we'll end up in a grave because
Yeah.
if
Or
we're trying
probably
to,
getting
oh
ill. Getting
yes,
ill, probably.
yeah, yeah. So
Right. I mean, some people link to it. If you believe what Gabor Mate says, those that kind of energy, negative energy, in terms of masking, can cause cancer, even right, or all kinds of things. At their root, all of these diseases are created by the way we've our lifestyle.
right,
You know,
and
the environment that we've been living with, and what we grew up, experiencing, even as children.
exactly, and all of that trauma you
Right.
hold in your body. It's
Oh,
stored there.
massively.
And if you don't deal with it,
Yeah.
you'll have less energy as you get older and you retire. And it will just kind of like, it will just break you down in the end.
Right.
So it's like at some point you have to kind of go, right, I have to offload all this shit. I have to kind of
Yeah.
get rid of all that energy crap. I have to deal with myself. I have to heal because
Hmm.
because if you get into old age and you've done nothing,
Yeah.
that's why you have this thing of like this famous thing of when people, especially men, when they retire, they will famously die like
Right.
within like 5 years after being
Yeah.
retired. They'll just
Yeah.
die because they've done nothing. They've done nothing except do the job. Right? They've
Exactly.
been an
And
accountant or whatever.
which links back to what I was saying before. It's just a personal opinion, but I think, as I said before, the midlife crisis that men go through is part of that process. Of like, lacking identity other than just what they were good at as a job,
Right.
as a profession,
I think there
and
was.
having little else to fulfill their lives with.
I think when I last looked, the whole midlife crisis had moved younger, and there was actually like
Oh,
several.
totally.
There's like several midlife crises now. It isn't just like
Yeah.
one when you're like 45 or whatever.
Yeah.
There's like
Crises, I think, is the plural.
yeah, yeah.
Crises.
There's like a series of them now because
Right.
life's so
Yeah.
complicated. Anyway,
It's
um,
complicated.
have you got any other closing thoughts that
Yes.
you want to get out?
I'll leave you with this one. Maybe when I had I started some sessions with a psychologist. Ooh, when was it? About 7 or 8 years ago. And the first appointment I had with her, she said, "Paul, what are you trying to? What objective do you have? With starting to have these sessions together?" And I
Hmm.
said, "When I retire, I want to retire with some sense of peace and composure."
All right. Well, that sounds like
Yeah,
a good goal.
it's a good goal, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how's it going, Paul?
Composure.
How's
It's
it?
going all right, actually. It's going all right.
All right.
Yeah,
That's good to
yeah.
know.
I've worked hard on it.
I think
Because
you
that's
have,
what I
mate.
want. I don't want to get to my worst nightmare is you get to into your retirement age and have a lot of un things that are not fulfilled, or too many things that you'd wish you'd done, and wish you'd things you'd taken care of, and hadn't.
Hmm.
If that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, no one is on their deathbed thinking, "Man, I wish I'd done some more PowerPoint presentations."
Right. Well, there's a great book by a woman. It's become a massive bestseller. She worked in a retirement home as a nurse in Australia. I think it was in Sydney, and she wrote a book as a kind of she accumulated a lot of stories of patients that she had that died in the retirement home where she worked, based on regrets that people had in their in the
Hmm.
time of dying. Right,
Yeah.
fascinating book, a really insightful thing. And guess what? Yeah, people have a lot of um, things that they regretted.
Yes.
So I hope to reduce personally the amount of regrets.
I re-
That would
I,
be
re-
my age.
I
That would be
remember
my aim.
there was a documentary about the the poet laureate who's the Queen's personal poet, right?
Okay.
Um, and I think this was like towards the end of his life or something.
Hmm.
And there was an interview with him, and he was like, "So, do you have any regrets?" And he was like, "I I I wish I'd had more sex."
Brilliant. Brilliant.
So there we go.
Right. There was recently I said there's a psychologist that I really like, British, where he's half British, half Swiss, called Alain de Botton. He's written a lot of books. Check him out; he's amazing. He was talking about regrets, and he said anyone that says that they have no regrets or that we shouldn't have regrets is absolute nonsense. He said being human is having regrets. If you don't have regrets, there's a strong probability that you're erring towards being a narcissist
Yeah, that's fair.
because it's a completely natural human thing to have regrets.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that we should, because it means that you're reflecting on how you've behaved.
Right. Unless it's actually part of the process, and you had a regret, and you went through a process, and you healed, and you forgave yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not that you. It's not deciding whether you have or don't have regrets. It's how you deal with them.
Yeah, 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 for sure.
You know.
All
Yeah.
right, nice one.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
okay, now I'm just like looking down the thing. What did we do? Oh yeah, so now we are
Now
going to we're gonna rate.
we're gonna
We're gonna rate
rate
being.
retirement.
Yeah,
Okay.
here we go.
All right.
Is it a dopamine hit or is it a burnout thing? The retirement
Rating retirement.
is it is it a dopamine hit or is it a burnout thing? Oh Jesus
This.
Christ!
Wow. What a provocation.
You know what I mean? Like, the thing is, for me, it could be a dopamine hit. Like in theory, if you've managed to somehow sort yourself out and you're comfortable, you have
If you've
time
sorted out, if
to
you've
do
sorted
shit.
out a lot of your regrets,
Yeah, and
if you'd
you've
had
got
enough sex,
and you've got some money and you've got a support system around you that you
right?
then pension or whatever, then
Yeah.
fine. You know what? It it could be a really sort of amazing time. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm going to say, in an ideal world, a
Yes. Yes.
dopamine hit could be like a an 8. I'm going to give it a high 8.
Yeah, because we have to be realistic, don't we? Because you get up already, get up if you're like me. You get up in the morning and your knees don't work as they they maybe take 10 minutes before your knees start loosening up a
Ooh,
bit and
blimey!
you're straightening
Right.
your back out a bit.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Things are a little bit more. So we have to be honest. You know, it's not all
Right.
kind of rosy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree with you, Martin. I'm going for around 8.25
Oh
because
wow.
rounding up a bit.
Rounding up, nice. And then burnout. See, this is this is where it could be like
Burnout.
a. You see, this is like a full 10. I'm gonna give it like a 10.2 because it's like it could be on the worst side of it. Like you've
Well,
spent
you're
your
going to
life
die,
and you've done nothing and
right?
with yourself, and then you retire and then you just fall over, right? You just that's it.
Right.
You're you're,
Potentially,
you're potentially right. Worst case scenario,
right.
right? It like if you don't deal with anything, then it's going to creep up on you.
If you've ignored shit, you know,
Yes,
I
yeah.
can think of people that I can't name, but that I know very well that they haven't dealt with stuff. You know, they've buried their head in their sand. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they haven't had the courage to deal with important things,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And they've become a bit bitter and twisted in their old age. And there are a lot of people like that, a
Right.
lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially men, I think.
Especially men. Yeah. I mean,
So potential burnout is high for me. What was it for you, Martin? What's your potential burnout score?
oh, it was like 10.1 because as far as I'm
That's
concerned,
high.
death is the ultimate burnout. Like
Oh,
because it's like it. Yeah.
um, I'm not thinking like that because we all have to die, Martin.
We all
Sorry to
do.
break it to you. We all have to die. Okay, mine isn't mine is completely the other end of the spectrum, Martin.
All right.
I'm going to
Okay.
give it. I'm going to round it up to, or round it down. No, round it up to 3.75.
All right. Very low for you. Very interesting scores
Yeah,
there. Very interesting scores.
interesting, provocative, I'd say.
Exactly. All right. Well, with that little thought, we're just going to quickly jump into the old tractor. We're going to make our way over to Alexandra's
Yes,
haunted inn, where she's left a rather lovely note, but
and
in
relevant and bang on. The timing is perfect after the
right.
last points we were making.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of keep this short. So, what did you pull out, Paul?
We pulled out Martin. Alexandra is saying, looking forward to the next episode, which is this one. And she kind of preempt what the discussion might be about. She says she'll think she'll die before retirement. No, come on, don't do that. No, that's the ultimate burnout, isn't it? She
That's that.
Didn't even get to it. The
That's what
retirement.
I'm saying, mate. That's why I gave it like a
Ah,
10. And because she's not the only one. I've talked to a few people, and
no,
when you get to like the retirement, they go, "Yeah, I'm not going to get that far."
blimey.
Like 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 so if you've got chronic illnesses, and you know how like if you have like undiagnosed ADHD or autism, it will take years off your life. And you've got these other health problems. There's
Right.
quite a lot of our crowd kind of go, yeah,
Yeah.
mate, yeah, I'm not sure that I'm actually going to get there.
Right. By the way, I was listening to a podcast recently from a specialist ADHD and autism psychologist,
Right,
psychiatrist, not psychologist, psychiatrist. So she's got like over 30 years experience specifically on this. And she said that she addressed very specifically this idea that these numbers that come out occasionally, they are completely misrepresented about people with ADHD or autism having a lower life expectancy.
right.
She looked into it, and it's absolute nonsense. She
Is it
said
really
it's completely misrepresented figures based on some
based
research
on?
that's been done, and it was just taken completely out of context. And
Okay,
at the best, she said, at best, very inaccurate.
all
And
right.
there's not yet any research that actually, real research that backs it up.
Okay, I'm going to have to
Yeah.
spend next week looking into that
Yeah.
and see whether she has a point or
Mhm.
not. All right, so it is now time for... It's the quiz!
Oh, wait a minute, Martin.
What?
We
Yeah,
didn't have the banjo for the ratings.
yeah, we did. It
Did
happened.
we? Did
Yeah.
I miss it?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. Okay.
You will just have to wait till next week
Oh, blimey.
to
Okay.
hear again. All right, so I'm looking at the time. I've got 5 minutes. All right, so this is the quiz portion of the
Yes.
of the show where Paul and I have a quiz off, and currently Paul is in the lead 3-0. I am sucking ass, and it's my turn to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
the quiz.
Yeah.
It'll be 2 truths and a lie. Let's
Right.
see, with 3 questions. Let's see how you do. Now, the theme of this week was I thought the ultimate retirement was to die. So I've done a quiz about how famous people have retired from life.
Okay. All right.
How they have
Interesting.
died. All right.
Okay.
I was trying to find something fun.
Retired from life. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Question 1. Harry Houdini. You know, the
Oh, okay.
famous master escape artist, illusionist.
Yes.
Which one of these? Which one of these is a lie? So, A, he died after a student repeatedly punched him in the stomach to test his strength.
Right. Okay.
Or is it B, he drowned during a failed underwater escape stunt in front of a live audience?
Right.
Or C, he kept performing for days after the incident before finally collapsing. So did he die from being punched in the stomach, or did he die from the underwater escape stunt went wrong, or did he keep performing for days after the incident and then finally died?
Oh, the obvious answer is 2.
Right.
I think wasn't it a famous thing, but maybe it's not true. I think I'm erring on the side that that's how people think that he died. It's some kind of thing with the falls, a famous thing that he did in Canada at the what's it called, the falls in Canada.
Oh,
In
you're thinking of going over the bloody falls in Canada.
Yes, the bloody falls.
Oh,
Those falls in Canada, isn't it?
well, it's on the border. So one side is
Oh, really?
Canada, and the other side is
Oh, okay.
American. But
Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls.
Viagra
Yeah.
Falls, was that?
Viagra Falls, yeah. I think it's the first one, Martin. I'm going to choose the first one. Someone was punching him in the stomach.
And you'll be completely right. So he
Oh!
he didn't drown in the stunt that he was doing.
Yeah.
He was punched internally, leading to a ruptured appendix.
Oh, silly man.
Silly man.
That's
He's like,
so male.
test my
That's
strength.
so male, isn't it?
Yeah.
Punching appendix. Oh, that's a bad way to go.
Yeah. I mean, all right. So, okay. So Tycho Brahe, I don't know. He was a brilliant Renaissance astronomer with a gold nose.
With a gold nose.
Yeah. So here's a story. So which one is a lie? So let's. So A, he died after refusing to leave a royal banquet to go to the bathroom,
Yes.
i.e., he was holding on to his pee for way too long.
Okay.
His bladder rupture was blamed on strict court etiquette. Manners literally killed him. Or C, he died when one of his wild chemistry experiments exploded.
I'm going for the first one again. Bladder explosion. Holding on to his piss.
Yes, and that would be absolutely correct.
Come on!
Yeah. A very awkward death.
Wow.
But yeah, he wouldn't excuse. But he was dying for piss, and he didn't leave. All right.
Okay.
This one you may know. Isadora Duncan, the revolutionary modern dancer who basically reinvented how people move on stage.
Yes.
Which one is the lie? Did she A? She died when her long scarf caught in a car wheel.
I think that's true.
She was riding in an open-top sports car when and died in a crash, or she died mid-performance when her costume failed on stage.
I think it's the first one again, Martin.
I believe it is true. You are 3 for 3. So there we go. So that's 4 to you.
Wow.
And I continue to remain scoreless.
Wowzers. Okay.
I know. All right. So that's the quiz. So now
the
quiz.
So what's next? What's the next episode, Martin?
You'll like this, Paul. You'll like this. I picked it out specially.
Yeah.
Right. I was back and forth. But what we are going to do is ADHD and tattoos.
Oh, really? Okay.
Exactly. Because quite a lot of neurodivergent people do have tattoos. That's like one of the things that is quite that ADHD and autistic people like to do. And you have lots, and I have none. So I kind of thought that was like a sort of an two ends of the it's like a 2 points of view.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad.
Interesting.
Nice.
I
like the sound of that. So that just leaves me to say ADHDville is delivered fresh every Tuesday to all purveyors of fine podcasts. Please subscribe to the pod and rate us not old and
retired.
Not
retired.
Not dead yet. And feel free to correspond at will in the comments. But wait, there's more. If you wish to see our beautiful faces, then sally forth to the YouTubes and the TikToks. And you can also pick up a quill and email us at adhdville@gmail.com. But in the meantime, be fucking kind to yourself.
And I beseech you, fellow ADHDers, fare thee well with gladness of heart.
There, says the mayor. That's that.
Oh, there we go. 1 minute 4. So
okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, we kind of raced. We raced at the ending.
Rattled through, some would say.
Pretty much caught up. After this, I've got to go back and carry on doing that bloody job.
Oh, blimey. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't quit yet.